Hi, this is Priyanka and I welcome you all to Srijan Wednesday webinars. For those who are attending for the first time, this is a community initiative by Srijan Technologies. As a part of this initiative, we host webinars every alternate Wednesday. We have speakers from different domains who talk about subjects like front-end technologies, UI UX, mobile apps, media, entrepreneurship, digital marketing, and many more. Today's webinar titled Analytics for Online Retail is focused on the interplay of social media and analytics for the growth and survival of an online retail business. In the first 40 minutes, a speaker will provide valuable pointers on how e-commerce companies can use analytics to reach out to the right target group and serve them better. The last 15 minutes will be for a Q&A round. I request you all to please type in any questions that you have during the presentation and we will take them up towards the end of the webinar. I would now like to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. We have with us Umesh Gupta. Umesh is the CEO of Open Software Technology, which is a new age business intelligence and analytics platform with a special emphasis on the online retail industry. Before building this BI and BA platform, he has also tried his hand at entrepreneurship and successfully executed 2 businesses. Umesh has done his graduation in commerce, followed by a law degree and a diploma from IIFT. So without wasting any more time, I think we should get started. Umesh, over to you.
Thank you, Priyanka. So first of all, I think this idea about having a Wednesday webinar is great because the first 2 days we're busy with our work and it's good to get some knowledge on a Wednesday and then ruminate over it for the rest of the week before we start partying on the weekend. So good afternoon, friends. I think Priyanka has introduced me quite well. There's not a whole lot for me to add over there other than the fact that I also failed in one of my businesses. Moving forward, I would like to also request Priyanka to do a small poll. I'll be really interested in knowing how many people are from the technology background and how many are from the business background. So Priyanka, can you please do the needful?
Sure, Umesh. I've started the poll. I request everyone to please select the appropriate option. So we will run the poll for another 5 seconds. Can you guys please quickly select the appropriate option? Okay, so we have all the answers here. I am going to share it. So 75% of the people are from a technology background, while the rest 25 are from a business background. So I think, Umesh, we can now get started and move on to the presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So I'm going to try and orient my talk towards business and of course bring in the element of technology into it so that we can cater to the entire audience over here. But I must share this here that analytics, the beauty about analytics is that it's always catering directly to business. It's unlike most other technologies which are more from technology perspective. This is a technology which is directed to the business community. Moving forward, just give me one sec. I'll just one sec. It's not moving. Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with an overview of the e-commerce or the online industry. So as we know, e-commerce is the fastest growing method of shopping currently. I think it's all around us. We have seen it in every sphere of life, in everything. That while earlier we were so much more focused on trying to buy things, with touch and feel and going to the shop, but now with paucity of time and so many other reasons which we all know, we know that most of us are getting into purchasing or dealing or transacting over the internet. So what it says that as of now, the growth of e-commerce industry or online spending is growing at a 10% compound annual growth rate, and this is happening since 2010, 2012. So you can well imagine how fast the growth is coming in. And in 2017, it is expected that it's going to touch around $370 billion from approximately $260 billion, which is there currently. India currently has got 250 million internet users, and it makes it the fifth largest e-commerce market in the world. And I'm sure you're aware of it, but this is just a starting point over here. We are likely in the next couple of years to take over two other economies and become the third largest market in the world after US and UK. Now this is very interesting. Basically, if you see, out of all the users that are there, the internet users, around 73% of the users usually are the ones who are doing online transactions. In India, it is only 62%. If you put it in absolute numbers, this 11% difference would run into millions of people. I'm sure this is another piece of information. We all know that we've been transacting on travel portals like yatra.com or Make My Trip or Travel Guru for a long time. Well, actually, they are also part of the e-commerce industry, and currently they contribute a lot bigger chunk to the market than the online retail, even though the online retail is creating a lot more buzz. Now that buzz is going to get translated into a lot more business as a percentage also in the next few years' time. Now, there has been a paradigm shift in how e-commerce has been transacted in India, even in the short duration it has been there. There are a number of reasons for that, but largely the shift has been that earlier most of the portals used to have their own inventories. That means they would purchase goods from other sources and keep it in their own warehouses, and then they would sell from their warehouse. Now with shrinking margins and trying to be more in just in time, they have now moved away from that and have tried to create marketplace model. What this basically translates into is that they have now created a virtual or an online marketplace where there are resellers who come and sell onto that marketplace, and they do direct transactions through, which is facilitated by these large portals like Flipkart or Myntra, etc. And then the delivery also is taking place directly from those vendors onto the end customer. Now, moving again onto the marketplace model, we can see that right now most of the marketplaces are really seriously focusing on trying to grow the number of vendors or resellers on these marketplaces. Now, there are certain marketplaces which have already touched nearly 100,000 resellers, but at the same time, they are all looking to grow it even further. The reason is simple, that in case if there are more resellers, more people will come and buy from that because you get a wider choice. This is also happening in US, but there is a little bit of a difference there. In US marketplaces like eBay and Amazon, they have already started evolving a lot of solutions for the e-commerce resellers over there. While in India, it is something which is still evolving. It is still not in place, and resellers are currently largely a disjointed set of people who are basically just transacting on these marketplaces without any real software to cater to them. Well, in India, this is likely to change again, and it will go more of the US way. It is largely going to happen that out of these 100 or 200,000 resellers who are going to be there on the marketplaces, eventually most of the marketplaces will try and focus on trying to have more of quality resellers. The reason again is the same as we stated earlier, that they would try and see if they can go ahead and provide good goods or quality goods to the people, to the buyers at a cost-effective price, where the deliveries are taking place well in time. These are the three criteria. Again, when we talk about an e-commerce company or an online retail company, what are the different departments which are existing there which need to be catered to? So well, you have the management over there, of course, which is trying to take a look at information in a more holistic manner. Then you have the sales and marketing, which currently is probably the poster boy of most of these companies, where you're trying to do a lot of promotions out into the market, and try and gather as much market share as possible. And then, of course, take care of the selling side of it there too. The operations, the actual working of the company. The finance, again, finance has a very, very critical role over here, both from the perspective of the of catering to the end customers, because eventually all the order fulfillment, all the invoicing, etc., everything has to flow through finance. And also finance has a very big role from the perspective of the funding agencies, because finance has to provide a lot of information back to the funding agencies, which are more of compliance over there. The warehouse, again, even though most of the marketplaces are trying to move away from the own inventory model, however, there are quite a few marketplaces or even who follow a mixed model, where they would supply certain inventory from their own warehouse and certain they will give directly from the reseller. Supply chain. Again, this is really, really critical. In today's times, when you have cash on delivery kind of transactions happening, it is imperative for the supply chain to be immaculate, because you have to supply well in time. Otherwise, the cost of getting a goods back or getting the article back is very, very high with the shrinking margins. The HR department, well, I think everybody struggles in today's times to retain people and hire good people. So HR definitely is important when the market is large and the supply is less of people. And then yes, this is again a very, very important department that's come up now. That's vendor management. Many, many times it gets merged with the category managers, where they have a vendor management person under them. The role of a vendor management team is to grow the vendors and then to ensure that these vendors stick with you and they are a happy lot. So currently we'll try and see what are the typical e-commerce vendor companies, what's the IT setup with them. So largely if you see these companies, they have a lot of database transactional systems. What this means is that they have a backend system, which would be something like an ERP or some HR system, the CRM systems, etc. The reason for that is that these companies are themselves quite large now, and they have a lot of processes which are running inside their companies, and those processes have to be mapped so that the company functions as usual. Then they also have the side which we as customers take a look at. So they would have things like a portal which could be built on a Magento or a Shopify or maybe a custom built portal, again depending on the size of the company. This is what we see as users, where we transact when we have to look at any goods that they are selling and also do the actual transaction. Then you have a lot of data which is being provided to resellers. Now typically in India, as you may recall, I had said in my earlier slide, in India it's still not a well-managed system from the software perspective. So a lot of data which is being generated by the front-end portal is then translated into Excel sheets and then given back to the resellers, and these Excel sheets again need to be collated. Then you have data from third-party products. So in case like you could have inventory and warehouse management systems. So currently in India, there are two companies which are doing extremely well in the inventory and warehouse management. So you have a company called Unicommerce, which is a Delhi-based company, and you have a second company called Brown Tape, which is a Goa-based company. So yes, they have a lovely time over there, but they also do a lot of good work. And these companies, what they do is largely they go ahead and manage the entire inventory of the resellers, and they also correlate it with the inventory which is lying with the marketplaces, and then try and tie up the two together and ensure that there is a smooth supply chain that happens through them. And then finally, there's a lot of data which is coming in from social media. Now what social media in this case largely would be Facebook, because you can run a lot of campaigns on Facebook. So most of these e-commerce companies nowadays have very active presence on Facebook, where they are able to push new campaigns all the time. The other thing that you can get from data from is web analytics. Now most of these companies use a lot of Google Analytics or similar kind of things to track users. What are they doing over there? We'll talk about this a little bit more. So what are the issues with the current systems? First of all, the biggest problem that comes is there are different systems and each one gives a different perspective. Now how does this happen? Primarily, let us say that if I have to go ahead and see what are my what is the sales that are taking place. Now that's happening from one system, right? I can see that what is being checked out on my card, that's coming in from one system right now. However, if there's a return that's coming in from the later on, there is no way I'm going to track that. So I could be extremely happy saying that, okay, I'm making sales on my portal, but this is really not the real true picture, because I may be really suffering by way of a lot of returns which are coming in for me, which are really being tracked in another system. Again, too many data types. So we have so many different kinds of data which are coming in for us. We just talked about 3 or 4 different systems which are coming in from my own transactional data sizes. There are data which is coming in from Excel, CSVs, and none of them talk to each other. So again, it gives me, it does not correlate the data and give it to me together. So there is no way of getting a unified picture from all of these systems or sources together. So currently, how do they do it? So currently, they will have big teams which are sitting in their premises, and they would be doing nothing other than getting data out from all these different sources, putting it together into Excel kind of formats, and then making these formats more and more complex, and then giving it to the end users. Now this way the teams do get larger. However, the accuracy of this is very low because this is all being done manually right now. The second problem that people end up facing is there is always a chance of even getting some manipulation happening there, because people are under pressure to perform. So they could go ahead and put certain data thinking that that we know certain things are supposed to have happened, but the data is not reflecting, which could then turn out to be wrong. Again, the cost of even inaccurate information is very high, as we just discussed over here. So in case if I am happy that my sales are taking place well, but there are a lot of returns happening, probably speaking, I'm going to have an inventory sitting with me, which will be running into crores, especially when you talk about 20, 30,000 transactions happening every day. The other thing is that this data is largely available on PC. If you'll see, since this data is coming manually to me in Excel sheets, etc., this is going to be very static in nature. So I can at best carry it on my PC. It is not really portable onto my mobiles or onto my tablets. And then because there is so much happening all the time, it's difficult to keep track of it when you're traveling. And in this line, with the kind of dynamics that are there, there is a lot of traveling that you have to do. Again, because of this factor that you have to be connected or you have to be on a PC, the information is normally quite old and it is very static. That means you cannot really play around with it, or you cannot do slicing and dicing with it. So it's a one-way street where you're taking a look at the information, which again is quite old. So what is the requirement of the management? So if you just read through this and then dissect it, we're talking about management only requires timely delivery of accurate information from systems with checks and balances and deep insights, which may miss the human mind to ensure enablement of growth in volume or profit and minimize losses. Now if you see it, there will be different companies. The first part everybody requires. So they definitely require timely delivery of accurate information. Again, if in an e-commerce kind of a scenario, when there are 20,000 deliveries happening on a daily basis, if 10% of them come back, probably that's not going to even cover my margin, because many times I may be selling even on some small losses, because that's the way the market is right now. So I need to know at a particular period of time what is happening in my company, so I can make a call there. Another very good example of this could be that if I'm selling a particular good of a popular brand and there are 5 other marketplaces selling, I need to know what the prices of the other marketplaces are, because that's the only way I'll be able to know that what price I should put it at, so that I can actually sell my goods. Otherwise, it may remain in my inventory only. So getting to know timely information is important. The second part could be variable. So there are certain marketplaces which could be in the stage right now where they are saying that we want to grow our businesses and we want to grow volumes and capture more market share. The others and the others could be that we need to ensure that we have grown to a certain size, we are satisfied with that, and we need to start ensuring now that we are profitable. Now in case of the first one, many marketplaces are still making losses. But in case of the second one, it is important to see that how I consolidate my market. Again, coming now to the brass tacks about business analytics. What is business analytics? So if you read through this is business intelligence presents unified facts to the right people at the right time in an easy, legible manner and helps fortify intuition to add objectivity to otherwise subjective decisions. Now, this is a definition I have tried to put together myself after reading a few places and with my own experience. Now, what I'm trying to say by this very clearly is that there are facts, there are data available in different places. I need to go ahead and collate it. That's what we've been talking about till now. again, these unified facts have to be presented to the right people at the right time. Because today, if I'm into category management, I cannot possibly be looking at data which is going to be into procurement side, or I could not be looking at data which is not my own data. So it has to be thrown to the right people. Any data that is coming to me which is too large, which is not focused, I don't have the time to really look at it and start trying to start trying to cull out information which I need. And again, at the right time, we just talked about in an easy legible manner. Now, why we say easy legible manner? We all have Excel sheets. All of these people are used to Excel sheets. However, if you have to try and find this data in a quagmire of Excels, it's very, very hard to get a really good visualization. That is the reason we need to have it. We need to have it into an analytic system. Then we're talking about to help fortify intuition. Now, why we are talking about help fortify intuition? There's a lot of study that has been done. There's in fact one being done by the Harvard Business Review, where they say out of 100 decisions that are taken, 65 to 70% of them are correct when they are based on intuition. In case if they are based on business analytics, then that accuracy can go up to 80 to 85%. Now, if you talk about it, it's just a 10 to 15 or maybe 20% increment that we are getting, but it's a very, very important increment. Because there is a lot of subjectivity in decisions. For example, today, if for last 1 month, I'm getting a lot of sales, which let us say are coming from a city like Kanpur, because there's going to be a, let's say, cricket, test match over there. Now, I would be swayed by saying that, hey, there's a lot of action happening in Kanpur. While it may be just because of the cricket test match, you never know after the match is over, it may be now moving on to, let's say, Nagpur, where, now suddenly the action will come from there, especially when you talk about the sporting goods category or something. So, there is a lot of objectivity which is added when you have legible information available to you, and so you can take more accurate decisions. What do the global firms say? So they say that BI is CIO's #1 priority, and it has been happening for the last 2 years. And they say this is happening even in the days of meltdown. Now, why does this happen? The reason is, I'll give a small example. I was there with a customer some time back. When the market was going bad, in fact, around 2009, 8, 9, 10, that's the time when the market was bad. We had done a successful proof of concept. But when I was sitting in front of the CEO of the company, he was asking me, why do I need to buy a costly software, or I need to buy a software like business analytics now? I mean, so I said, why don't you want to buy it? He says, well, I'm under instructions from my board to cut down costs. So I asked him, how are you going to go around doing that? So he says, well, I have to go ahead and see which, eliminate the lines where my profitability is very low, or I'm making losses. I have to get try and take out people who are not very productive. I said, how are you going to do that? So he says, well, my managers will tell me. They have enough experience to tell me. And I was trying to tell him that, look at it this way, that in case if you get out even 5% people out of the people that you take out who are really good, then you are going to miss out on the assets in the company, because eventually companies are run by a few good people, right? And he immediately understood that point. And he went ahead and bought the product simply because he understood that in good days, BI is needed to grow. In bad days, it is needed to survive better. Again, they say that over 60% of CEOs think that they need to do a better job of capturing and understanding information to make more efficient and timely business decisions. Any CEO, you would see, any top level person, largely his job is going to be to ensure that he's been given enough information, given enough data, so that he can understand where the company is and take more informed decisions. So again, he is going to always be after his IT to try and give him this information. Every transactional system which is evolved till date is eventually going to produce data. They are there to produce data. They may do some processing on it, but finally they are sold or they are used for the data that is being produced by them and being consumed by the top level management, so that they can make better decisions. Again, when we talk about this, we're talking about that many organizations did a much better business, or did much better than those companies, especially during slowdowns. So then those companies who were not really using any BI or analytic tools. So the people who had a lot of interactive modeling, interactive, scoreboarding, reporting, they did a lot better because they were that much more dynamic and they could respond to the market conditions a lot faster. Let's move on to where all can it be, can analytics be used or business intelligence be used in the online retail industry. So first, we talk about the advertising side. We are largely going to talk about the online advertising in this case. So what are the kind of questions that arise from there? So we say that what is the source of my advertising that is pulling in the maximum amount of traffic? Again, I will be advertising in many places, but finally I need to know, but where is the traffic coming in from? What advertising is generating the most sales? Again, I could be having a lot of traffic coming in from some certain places, but maybe it is attracting the kind of people who are just traffic but not still giving me any sales. What ad is converting the best? So again, I'm going to have a lot of ad creativity that creatives that I'm putting out onto the social media, onto my website or other places, and I need to see which of these ads are doing better for me. So what's the kind of information that's possible out of this? So I can do better marketing campaign planning. I can do better daily sales wise, channel wise traffic conversion, channel wise analytics, and cost to traffic to conversion analysis. Let me try and talk about these together. So what the kind of information that I'm getting from these campaigns is that how many people are coming in, where are they coming in from, how much sales are they finally giving to me, what is the, and what do I do with it? Now if I'm able to see that, okay, looks like that my campaign on Google AdWords is really people are clicking on it and coming to my site a lot more. Let's say compared to a Facebook or compared to any other social media that I can, or any other site who promises to get me more business, then I would know that I need to put in my marketing money into that kind of campaign. Again, when I talk about daily channel-wise traffic conversion, there are technologies now available through which when I click on a particular link, it will be able to go ahead and see that whether they're coming in from which link, and once they are onto my portal, I will be able to track whether they are converting or not. I could do an analytics of this whole thing. And then finally, I could also do this that, okay, how much is each of my campaigns or each of my advertisements that I'm running, how much are they costing to me? And then how much traffic? So let's say if I'm paying $100,000, for a Facebook campaign and $100,000 for an AdWord campaign, and then after that, it's, one of them is generating, let's say 500,000 people for me, and another one is generating, let's say, 1 million people for me. But finally, the one which is converting 500,000 users traffic for me is really 200,000 people are converting out of that, and let's say out of 1 million only 20,000 people are converting. So I can do that kind of analysis to find out that, okay, what is my cost per sale for a particular campaign, and then go ahead and and focus more on those campaigns. I could even add another dimension to this, that maybe for different categories of products, what are the costs that are involved and what are the conversions that are happening. So I could run specific campaigns on specific sites. Again, navigation. So when we talk about navigation, we're talking about something called web analytics. Largely, we're talking about here. So when people log into my site, what are the places where people click more? So what elements of navigation are people using the most? What are they using the least? So I could have a beautiful looking picture of let's say of Everest with my mountaineering and outdoor category, and I could on the other side have a picture of let's say a road runner, again saying that, okay, this is the same category you could use. It's very important for me to know that when I'm running one particular image and I'm running another image, what is the impact? Are people more impressed with one kind of image or one kind of place where they would click, or another one? Maybe I could do it sequentially in 1 month and another 1 month and another month. So it's very important for me to know that on my site, what are those elements on my page where people find attractive and they're tempted to go and take a look at, move from there, and where they're not doing enough. What is causing visitors to go around in circles? I think most of us would have gone through this on some or the other side. Many times we come to a site thinking we are going to buy a particular kind of product. Intuitively, when we look at it, we say, okay, this belongs to a certain kind of category. We'll click on that category. After clicking on the category, we will say, okay, this is the kind of product or subcategory it will be. Now, when we do this, the page will direct us to some other place where we may find some other things and click on that. And we are never able to find the place that or the product that we want to buy. We are always moving around somewhere in the periphery of that. So it's very, very critical for a company to know that, because none of us have a very big attention span as far as buying things online is concerned. The first reason why we are online is because we feel we want to save some time and do it from the comfort of our homes. Am I reaching the desired page using the search box? So most of these sites would have a search box in it. Again, I type in over there, I want to have, let's say, a mobile, cover and a cover, let's say I just write. And if I do not find a mobile cover and I find a laptop cover, it's a problem. So I need to be able to see whether I'm able to reach the desired things through those tags when I'm typing into something onto a search box. What is the information possible out of this? Which are the most viewed pages? Where do I spend maximum time? And then where do people terminate orders without, which are the pages where again, if you see most of these things, the first one, you could take this positively or negatively. There are times when people spend a lot of time on a page because it is so confusing to be able to figure out, that what is there on it. So I spend a lot of time just trying to figure out what is there on it. I may spend even 2-3 minutes just trying to scroll up, down, sideways, right? And then, but if I put all these three things together, that what are the pages that are viewed the most? What is the time that is spent on it? And finally, whether that page is leading me to sign up and take and place an order or not, is what is going to give me the answer. That what are the navigation tools I should use? What are the places I should try and embed images, embed clicks, so that people will move forward, spend time, and then take an order and then execute that order. Again, loyalty is very important in today's times. While we could be looking at trying to gain more customers, but at the same time, we are very, very keen to try and build loyalty and try and get more, and retain customers. If you can just, pause and look back onto the telecom industry, I think you'll realize this is exactly what had happened in telecom industry about 10 to 15, 12 years back. When you had the Airtels and you had the Vodafones, or at that time what was known as Hutch, come in there, and they were all trying to gain a lot of customers. But then once they gain a lot of customers, they also spend a lot of time to try and understand who are those customers who give them large enough business and who are the ones who give them repeated business. And then they spend a lot of time trying to retain those customers in some or the other way. So again, when we're looking at this, we're saying which are the customers who buy repeatedly? Where do these customers come from? It could be geographically where they come from. It could be from my different social media. Where do they come from? It could be any of these. How do they reach their desired product? So again, when I'm seeing that there are certain people who are loyal to me, right? And they know my site well, how do they skim to the places where they want to buy something? That's a very interesting thing for me, because if I can figure that out very easily, I could probably try and replicate it across to the other new users also and try and make them reach their desired product in the same process what these people reach. How many of them respond to mailers and other forms of marketing communication? Now, why this is important? Because I have campaigns running all the time. So I am going to go ahead and run a campaign on SMS, I'm running campaigns social media, I'm running email campaigns. So I need to know what are the methods of marketing communication that they respond to. Okay? So I can focus more on that. And how much of these are returns by customers? Again, very popular. I would think the person who buys the most from me is my best customer. But then if I'm able to juxtapose that with how many calls are my customer care department getting from certain customers, and how many of these customers keep returning goods to me, probably it's going to be a very, very important thing to realize that whether which is a customer that who's really good for me. What is the kind of stuff we can get from this? So we can get a cohort or a waterfall analysis of registered and buying customers. Now, what does this particular thing mean? Primarily, a cohort report is something which is giving me information on a sort of a well, it's already written, a waterfall kind of a method. So what it says is that I can have all the months where my customers are registered, and then on my other axis I'll have the months on how much they are transacting. So if, let us say, in January of 2014 I registered 10,000 different users. Now I could see that out of these 10,000 users in February 2014, how many have used the how many have used the product or bought products, in March, how many of those 10,000 have bought the products? In April, how many have bought? And why this is important? Because that's how I'm going to get loyalty. If I can figure out at the end of, let's say, 3, 4, 5 months, that how many of those people are coming repeat buyers, I will be able to then figure out what are they buying, what are the price point at which they buy, what are the, whether they, they're buying at any, any discounts, etc. I can figure that out and then try and, award them more. Again, we can do a lot of customer analysis through this. So we can do it by geographies, by age, by their sex, and the promo codes. So there are a lot of customers. For example, I'm the kind of person that if I go onto an online, purchasing, except if it is small thing, I will look at if there is a sale going on, is there any promotion that's on with that. So they need to understand, and then there are certain customers who will buy only certain brands. Then there are certain customers who will buy only at full price because they feel that when it's a promo or it is at a discount, that means it is not wanted by others. So there are different kind of customers, and it's really, really important for this company, for a marketplace to understand what each customer wants, or what a set of customers want, so that they can push marketing campaigns specifically aimed for these particular kind of customers. Repeat customer analysis, probably it goes in hand to hand in the first one. When I dig deeper into what are the customers buying, I'll be able to see what my repeat customers keep buying. Going forward, we're talking about the social media or Facebook marketing. So what are the sites which are sending the best traffic? The strategies that are leading to the greatest SEO successes. How are my Facebook members reacting to my campaigns? So I keep pushing new campaigns. Here is a winter collection that I have come up with. Please go ahead and take a look at it and move from this onto my, onto my site. Are they actually sending any traffic across to me, these sites, or is it just, is it just that the people come in for information over there? What is the kind of information that we can get out of this? The number of visits to page on Facebook, demographic details. Now, how this is done is, I'll just complete this, number of likes and comments on Facebook. Now, how this is done is that Facebook gives certain kind of APIs which are available. As long as you have access to those APIs and the privacy settings of users is available with you, you can go ahead and start collating this kind of thing. So for example, if I have had an average traffic or average number, let's say 10,000 people visiting my page every day. Now I introduce a small campaign which says that, okay, I have my ladies winter collection coming in right now. So then I can see that whether my traffic has now increased from 10,000 to how much, maybe 15,000, 20,000. When it has increased, who are the people who are logging in? Where are they coming in from? US, India, in India, which state, which city? Then these people who are coming in, are they male, female? How many of them are, what age group do they belong to? If there are any comments or any likes that they can put on the campaign that I'm running. Again, it's important for me to know about the likes, that whether these are first-time users who are coming and giving a like or a comment on my campaign, or have they been doing it repeatedly for me. This can also be tied to your loyalty. In case if there are people who continuously come in and like my campaigns and move forward, it's again tied to my loyalty. And then I can do the entire analysis of all the parameters as I just told you about. Inventory and supply chain. Now this has got a very, very critical meaning for me in my business in current time. The reason for that is that I am, for me, it is, I am normally doing businesses in a loss in today's times. That's how the market unfortunately is. Given that I am doing businesses in a loss, is there any way that I can optimize my inventory? So it is critical for me to know how much inventory of what goods I should keep. Again, it's important for me to know my delivery schedules. So for example, if today I have to go ahead and order, let's say a gift, which I'm buying because my wife's birthday is going to be in 2 days, and if I'm promised a 2 days delivery, and if it comes in 3 days, I'm not going to accept it because I'm anyway taken care by my wife well and proper by that time. So there's nothing there's nothing left for me to go ahead and take from this. Probably I would have gone to the nearest jeweler and bought a diamond ring or something for her anyway, in the last day itself, right? So it's important for me to know what are my delivery schedules and am I delivering on time or no. in how many man-days am I delivering in different cities. Now, why this is important is because if I know that, let us say if I have to deliver in Delhi, I may be able to do it next day. But if I have to deliver it in Gorakhpur, I know I may take 4 days time, because there is no large courier service which is catering directly to Gorakhpur or some other third tier, second tier or third tier city. What are my returns vis-a-vis my deliveries? Again, if I need to know that if my returns are very high, not only am I selling the goods on loss, not only am I incurring the cost of delivering it across to the customer, I will also incur the cost of getting the returns onto my product. And on top of that, I think one huge problem which is there, which people generally do not acknowledge in this market, is that there are many times when the goods which have to come back to me are really not coming back to me. They are stolen on the route. So there would be courier companies, there would be Indian Postal Service many times, where people would take out the goods from inside the box, put in nice rocks or something of equivalent kind of weight, and send it back to me. And there is no way I'm going to know that who has done this. So I'll have to go ahead and grin and bear it. What is the kind of possible information we can get from this? How to optimize my inventories? Again, as we just discussed, it's extremely critical for me to know that when should I get my inventory from my vendors in case if I'm doing my own inventory model. At times, even in a reseller model, I could be getting my inventories from my reseller into my warehouse, putting in my own packaging onto it, and then sending it out. And because the delivery has to take place in 2 days time or something, this has to be an extremely quick decision and quick turnout that I have to do. Reduce rejections because of better commitment levels. Again, as I said, now in Delhi, if I have to tell somebody I'm going to deliver in 4 days, it's not going to fly. But if I tell somebody in Gorakhpur I'll deliver in 4 days, probably he's going to be happy because others may be doing it in 5 days. So I need to ensure that I'm going to commit the right thing so the expectation setting is done right with my customer. Improve just in time to reduce cost of money. I just talked about it, because if the goods are stuck in my warehouse or my vendor's warehouse, it doesn't help me. So I have to start moving in just in time kind of inventory, where the goods come into my thing, whatever I need to do, scan, etc. Barcoding, scanning, whatever, and then move it out. It has to be done really fast. It also reduces my infrastructure cost, because obviously in today's times the real estate is very costly, and most of the times the warehouses have to be in the main cities because that's how they can move faster. Yet another thing is the marketplace reseller analysis that we need to do. Now, why this is important? As you recall, in the first slide, I was talking about how resellers are becoming very critical to the success that is going to be there. Now, why is that becoming? Why is that important now? Because marketplaces are going to survive only with good quality resellers. I was in one of the seminars just around 6 months back, where there were marketplaces and there were resellers, and believe me, the resellers were extremely critical of the marketplaces, extremely critical, because they felt they were getting a very raw deal. They would first of all be told to cut the prices down to the teeth of the skin, to the skin of their teeth. Secondly, they were told that you would get your payments in 60 days or maybe even more. In case of the goods came back, it was the responsibility of the reseller to take care of that, while he was being criticized for that. And then many times he would end up making losses. So he felt that he was getting a very raw deal over there. I need to know who are my best resellers in any category. So I could have hundreds of categories. I need to know who are those guys who are really selling over here, because it's always going to be a pyramid kind of a structure, where out of hundreds of resellers I'll have in a particular category, most of them will be dormant, some will be active, and only some will be superstars. I need to identify. What are the returns by each reseller? There are very smart guys, some of them who can read the market well, send exactly the good. Today I see a blue color mobile case. I like it a lot. By the time it reaches me, probably it's going to, from a dark blue, it's a sky blue that has reached to me, so returns are taking place. So the commitments of the resellers are seen by the returns that they produce. What are the models? What are the models of inventory that work the best? So that means there are different models of inventory. As I said earlier, this is a two-way thing. One is that should I ask my reseller to sell directly, give it directly to my customers, or should it go through my warehouse? In case if it is from a reseller, how do I ensure that the quality that he's sending is good? So those are the important things here. What is the kind of possible information we can get out of it? How to retain top resellers? We just talked about it many times. It's going to be critical to retain the top resellers. If I know that who are going to be my top resellers, I'm going to go all out to try and reach out to them. So for example, what we do when we work with some of these marketplaces, we actually provide an analytic platform where a reseller, when he logs into it, he's able to see what is his performance. That means how much has he sold versus the best resellers in that particular category. Then he's able to see that, okay, what are those goods that he's selling well? What are the payment terms he's getting? What price generally he's able to sell the same goods what others are selling? So he's able to compare with himself with the best that is there in that particular segment, and that gives him that satisfaction that, okay, this marketplace is, and then including payment terms. So that gives him the satisfaction that this marketplace is really being fair to me and I should work on this marketplace. That also translates into more traffic and more business coming onto him. So it's a beautiful, nice cycle that's moving there, where good resellers are there because they do not want to leave their marketplace. Because of good resellers, good customers are retained, and so on and so forth. Optimize my inventory models. Again, if I'm able to see that what are the models that work, which are the models that are selling well with my resellers, through my resellers, I'm able to advise them that this is the kind of material that I want now. Please send this across to me. Please ensure that I've been selling so much till now, I probably require this much more, give it to me. My payment schedules, again, every reseller is interested in getting his payment quickly, and most of the marketplaces do not give it fast. So if I know that these are my star guys, I could even tell them that, hey, you know what, collect the payment and let me have my commissions after that, if the confidence builds that much. So I can optimize the payment schedules with them. We just talked about this, provide analytics to my resellers and improve their efficiency through transparency. We just talked about this right now. The next thing is correlation and forecasting. Now why this becomes important is because finally speaking, I have a lot of data. I need to, and these are all from across different apps. I need to start putting them together, as we just talked about. So what are the different apps from where I'm getting data? What are the products which sell in which market? What products to bundle and sell? So for example, if you see in some of the sites, you can actually see that when I buy one product, they'll say, hey, you can buy this also. So how do they go around doing that? That's important. How do I bundle products? How to identify opportunities before others? Because if in the market others feel that, okay, there's a great opportunity in something and you feel the same way, then anyway you're just competing with the market. So you need to identify it before others. And then you need to correlate your inventory and production with your sales. So if you see this one, this is something that we do for some of our customers. We optimize sales through data analysis across Facebook, web analytics, and internal data. Just to give you the example of this, what we do. So my customers, some of them would have Facebook presence. So now when they go ahead and put out their ad campaigns over there, and let us say they have a traffic increase of 50% on Facebook because of a new campaign. And then these people click on that campaign and then come onto my web portal, or where I log in as a user, and then I start trying to purchase the goods. Now I have all the demography from the Facebook, that who are these people who are coming in, what age group do they belong to, which city are they coming from, they're male or female, and then I'm able to track them onto my web portal. At which page have they landed to? How much time did they spend on that page? Did they click onto them? Where did they click to go to the next page? And finally, what are the goods that they have put into their basket? And then how many of them have they abandoned, and what have they checked out? Now, typically, that's what I say as final sales. Okay? But then it moves to the next level, which is my internal systems like my ERP or my accounting system, where then I'm able to see that, okay, all the stuff that these people have bought, how much of them actually have got delivered, in how many days did it get delivered, whether when they have been delivered over there, have they been accepted? If they have not been accepted, what is the reason they have not been accepted? So the entire cycle is possible only when I'm doing the correlation over here. What are the best-selling products in a bundle? Again, one of our customers, he actually ran a campaign where he used to, one of his boys would go around with a small tablet, and he would go to a, let's say when he's delivering the goods, and then he will tell that person, hey ma'am, you just bought this, let's say this particular dress, and people who have bought this dress have also bought, let us say matching purse, right? So that's the kind of that's how it goes. Just one sec. Yeah. So then, what is the probability to cross-sell by market, gender, and age? So, what are the markets? If I'm selling one thing in one market, will it work in the other market? If I'm selling it to male, will it sell to female? Sometimes you'll have cross-gender analysis where you'll be able to see that there are men buying more for women than other way around because they prefer to give to their wives, while when women will buy more for themselves. Many times they don't like to give too much to their husbands. Okay, and then depletion of inventory at a price point. Now, this is a very interesting analytics that we did in our forecasting that we did for one of our customers, where what their requirement was that they had certain inventory and they had the past trends of what is the of a particular goods that they were selling, and they had the price point at which they were selling. And their whole thing was that if I want to deplete this inventory in X number of days, please let me know what is the price I should price it at every, let's say, every day or every hour, so that my inventory of this goods is depleted in so many days. Now that was very, very interesting forecasting, or sort of predictive to build and to make it successful, right? But that's the kind of thing that's possible through correlation and forecasting. Okay. This is a list of KPIs and reports and analytics that we keep making for marketplaces, or largely are possible. I'll just leave this slide, I'll just go through a few of them quickly. So we're talking about dispatch tracking on the dispatch side. In customer side, we're talking about, what are the top items which sell, what is the follow cohort reports over there. In finance, we're talking about what is my EBITDA like, what is my economic value, that I'm providing to my customer like, what are my net profits by my departments and genders, etc. In my sales management, we talk about the funnel of dropped items and supply chain. We're talking about what are the different products through which we sell. We're talking about telemetry reports, which are very critical. What telemetry reports basically talk about over here is that I may have 500 categories that I'm selling, but which are those top 10 categories which have moved up? So let's say, as a sales guy, I may know what are my top 10 categories anyway. It's mobile, it's apparels, etc. But do I know what is the category which was on 450th number and now suddenly moved up to 231st number? So that means that's a huge move we are doing. So I should focus on that. Right? So that kind of reports we're doing. Again, we're doing a lot of vendor management reports, that what are the vendors performing, what are the reorder quantities that we're looking at, or how much more should we commit to them to produce more, those kind of stuff. Doing a lot of Facebook analysis, site traffic analysis, this kind of things here. These are just some of the screens that I thought you may like to see. So we're talking about if you see the funnel over there, is telling me that we have about 7,393 items which have been ordered, and then how many of them those orders have been verified, how many invoices generated, and how many have been delivered. Talking about telemetry, which is there on the left-hand bottom. We're talking about the affiliation revenue, where we're saying how is the revenue coming from different sources. This is a sort of a search kind of a thing, a Google search kind of thing that is there in some of the products. We're talking about the customer-wise analysis here, by size, by average price, by quantity sold. Again, we're talking about the sales and return and inventory correlation between these three. We're talking about some KPIs. So we're talking about sales and marketing KPIs. We're talking about business growth, market share, conversion ratios, cost per leads. And then again, the financial KPIs like operating profits, net revenue, net profit margins, etc. We're talking about social media analytics like this, where we're talking about social media and the web analytics together. So that's where we are right now. Thank you very much for your time and patience and listening to this. And we can see in case there are any questions now.
Well, thank you so much, Umesh. That was a great session. You were very, very thorough with explaining how analytics can be used and what kind of questions does it answer for e-commerce companies. Moving on, I'm sure you guys have a couple of questions. So please press the raise hand button on your control panel if you want to ask your question using your microphone, or you can type your questions in the chat box below. Since we are running very short on time here, we'll quickly take up a couple of questions. Please, so quickly type in any questions that you have. Umesh, since we have not received any questions so far, can you just quickly go back to the slide that talked about list of KPIs and maybe run us through it again, since we have a couple of minutes more?
Sorry, which this thing did you say? Which slide?
The list of KPIs that you quickly glanced through.
Sure.
Yeah. Umesh, do you want to talk about it? Do you have any few points to add or any inputs to add here?
I think I think Priyanka that it largely talks about it over here. So if there is anything specific, then it'll be great. Otherwise, probably it'll take another hour or something to talk about each and every point which is there over here, because each of them is a story in themselves.
Okay, fair enough. So meanwhile, we have our first question here by Anirban. He wants to know, how will mobile shape online retail analytics?
Okay, so Anirban, I think mobile is going to be extremely important, both from the shopping experience perspective and from the analytics on this. Now I'll tell you why. Now, for example, if I am a category manager, right, and if I am sitting in front of one of the vendors, large vendors, and he's actually telling me about how he's not getting his payments on time, and how he's getting a raw deal. And if I'm able to really on my screen over there itself go ahead and show him a screen where it's where it says very clearly how his performance is vis-a-vis other people in that, and how he's been getting a better or a worse treatment. So it's very it's very easy for me to be able to correlate things to him right there. So I really do not need to carry anything, right? So that's one example. Second example could be, I need to, in case of e-commerce, the need to take critical, quick decisions is very important. If you see in today's times, you talked about it earlier, you could be selling a goods which you're trying to deplete your inventory. It's going to be extremely important for you to know what's the price you should be putting it at. Now there are even tools which are there where you can even automate that, but most of the times, if it comes to a critical decision on the pricing, you need to make that call right there itself. So unless you have this kind of a ticker or a real-time information coming onto your machine, even when you're on the go, which is telling you that how much are you selling at what price points, it's going to be hard for you to make a call on what's the price you should put in next very minute itself, right? So there are lots of examples which can be given how mobile is going to be extremely critical for taking the real-time decisions in the online retail space. I hope that answers your question. If there's anything else on this, please go ahead and ask.
Yeah, thanks. I was about to say the same thing, and even if you have a follow-up question, please feel free to type in. Meanwhile, I'll since we are already we are just hitting the timeline here, so we are going to take one last question here by Jimmy. He is asking, which is the best, which is the best of tools for startups, where can he get all analytics about supply chain specifically?
Okay, so if you see, In case of retail, online retail industry, most of the tools which are there in the market cater more to the web analytics side. That's somehow a very popular analytics that people end up doing. When you talk about what are the tools which are there on the inventory and or a more holistic picture, now most of the larger companies would end up buying BI tools, which will then end up building the customized KPIs for them from different departments. Right? So you would have a lot of tools which are there in the which are built by SAP, by IBM, by Microsoft. There are so many companies which are coming out with business analytic tools. But and then some of them are now trying to build pre-built kind of models. So for example, even we are now trying to get a lot of data coming in from these different sources and put it together to provide information. Now I would say that more important than what tool you should buy, I think it's more important for you to try and see, can you buy it more, can you use it more on the cloud, because that's when you are able to get your cost factor down. So a lot of these kind of reports which I've put up over here are available, which you can then go ahead and take it on the cloud and reduce your cost of ownership. Otherwise, sometimes these tools can be reasonably prohibitively costly. And in this way, you can, the cost is going to be much lower.
All right, thank you so much. So thank you once again, Umesh, for such a knowledgeable session. I'm sure everybody found your presentation very interesting and insightful. A big thank you to all the attendees for joining us in today's webinar. Before we close the session, I would also like to announce that our next webinar is on Development 2.0, how new business models and technologies are disrupting the non-profit sector, on 7th of January by Julio Kujot, Manager of Pulse Lab Jakarta, an innovative initiative of the UN Secretary General's Office and the Government of Indonesia, aimed at harnessing the power of new digital data sources and real-time analytics for development. We'll be sending you the details and registration link in a subsequent mail. So stay tuned and have a great day.
Priyanka, I'll just like to thank everybody too for their time. I really appreciate it, guys, for you being there and having the patience to go through this. In case if you have any questions, feel free to write into me. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to answer questions in great details over a webinar, but please feel free to write in and I'll definitely try my best to answer it in as much detail as possible. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Take care. And have a great Christmas.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Umesh. Bye.